Hi guys, welcome to Gemini season. It is going to be chaotic in a lot of ways. And I know you're all probably like, heavy sigh, oh damn, here's the chaos again, like more chaos. Can we do more chaos? I guarantee you we can do more chaos. And during this Mercury retrograde, that we've already been under for a while, if you haven't found your patience, if you haven't been able to find your patience during that Mercury retrograde, this can probably be an even more chaotic and impatient time for you as we move further into Gemini season, especially this first week coming up. Things are changing so dramatically. And even with this channel, things are changing dramatically. We're going to have a few more astrologers coming in June, which I'm really, really excited about. And they're going to be bringing you some of the current events and the energies happening currently, but they're also going to be bringing you stuff from the past and talking about past events and how it interacts with the stuff that's going on today as well, and how astrology really ties everything together. So I am going to be stepping back from an energy level when showing you guys the most current energy. I'm still going to do this for my members though. So I think I'm still going to be doing some weekly energy updates for my members. What I'm really wanting to do is to teach you guys astrology. I have classes and courses and master classes that I have coming down for the public, but I also want to be able to do it on this channel in small ways, so you guys can kind of start to get an idea of how to read your charts on your own. One of the things that I've learned for myself is that astrology saved me in so many ways, because it made me realize that there were just certain parts of my life that I was supposed to go through, because these were the lessons that I chose to learn. And these were, no matter how they showed up, whether the choices that I had made and the way that I was brought up, triggered these actions within my astrology chart. There was, when I was able to learn more about myself and learn more about my soul's evolution through my astrology chart, through learning my astrology chart, it gave me more awareness. It gave me more mindfulness. I was able to be more patient with myself and be more patient with the world at large. So, this is what I want to do for people. This is, I want to help you all to understand who you are on such a soul level that the outside world doesn't trigger you. I know that sounds really kind of far-fetched and wow, really? The outside world, that's possible? It is. It's entirely possible. Times like this, it's really helpful to have these kind of tricks within you and to know when transits are coming up for you and stuff. So we're going to do a little bit of that on this channel as well. Things are evolving constantly all the time. So I'm just blessed that for everybody that's on this journey with us, and you guys watching us grow, and we get to watch you grow as well. And that's really what community is all about. So let's get into the Gemini season energies. Now, we are really starting off Gemini season with a bang. This week, specifically today, Saturday the 21st, the sun came into Gemini last night. It's about 9 p.m. Eastern time, I want to say 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern time. And immediately we're starting with a Mercury Cazimi. And a Mercury Cazimi, now Mercury's in retrograde in Gemini. So Mercury in his domicile is going to be strong. Mercury retrograde, when planets are retrograde, they only appear to be going backwards, and what's actually happening is that they're getting closer to Earth. So the closer to Earth that they become, the slower it looks, but the stronger the energy. So Mercury in Gemini, domicile, strong energy. Mercury retrograde, strong energy. Mercury retrograde in Gemini, strong energy. Mercury retrograde in Gemini, conjunct the sun. which is the highest form of energy that we have. So today is like shooting us out of a cannon. There's this huge burst of energy. The moon is in Aquarius. Everything feels fresh. Everything feels real. Everything feels light. It's great, right? And that's wonderful. So hang on to that. The problem is when you hold on to this and this like fresh feeling and this light feeling, and you sort of catapult into it, and it explodes into frustration and irritation because you want to go, 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 go. And everything is telling you to slow down. Everything is telling you to be more aware. Everything is telling you to be more mindful. I even cut my finger with a knife this morning, which all this air energy, astrology is just doing its astrology, basically. Astrology. So we're starting off Gemini season with a Mercury Cazimi. And as we move further on, the sun is going to sextile Jupiter in Aries in a couple of days. Mercury retrograde is going to sextile Mars, and Mercury and Mars will be sextile in Gemini at this 29th degree. So on the 23rd, and we're just talking about the first week of Gemini season so far, and how chaotic it's going to be. Having Mercury retrograde at that 29th degree of Taurus, moving, regressing back to Taurus, where Mercury will go direct in a couple of weeks. But we also have Mars at the 29th degree of Pisces. And Mars in Pisces is already in a detrimental state where it's more of a passive energy and, where Mars wants to be aggressive. And then Mars ingressing to Aries in a couple of days. We're going to talk about that too, which is also happening this week. This can create the massive explosive tempers that could show up the first week of Gemini season if you are not paying attention to the cracked out energies of this Mercury Cazimi that's going on, and you don't allow yourself to stay grounded this week, because it'll just pile on. The energy will just keep piling on top of piling on top of piling on top. And the more things grow and the more things pile up, there's that temper and irritation. The 29th degree in astrology is called an anaretic degree, and it's where the pressure, right? It's called the degree of fate, and it's the most pressurized and probably the most negative way that a sign or a planet can be presented while it's transiting a chart. So if you have a 29 degree planet in your chart, you probably, in your own natal birth chart, you probably have a lot of difficulties in that area. 29 degree Mercury in Taurus, you're going to want to do things on Monday. It's not going to happen. 29 degrees of Mars, 29 degree Mars in Pisces, sextile, Mercury retrograde, 29 degrees. You're not going to be able to get anything done on Monday. If you think that you are going to get things done on Monday and it's Saturday and you're like, I have all this, or like Sunday night you're getting ready and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to get so much done on Monday. And you get there and you feel restricted and you haven't grounded yourself after this Cazimi Wednesday and Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you might quit your job. Just because it's going to feel so much stronger than it would have had it been just any other normal Monday without these anaretic degrees flying around in the cosmos. So Gemini season starting us off by saying, hey, slow down. Time is literally going to be irrelevant during this Gemini season. We got 16 inches of snow on May 21st, May 20th into the 21st, and it's still coming down. And even though we're in the mountains, it's not normal. This is still, I was watching the news this morning and it's like, I guess it was a long time ago that this last happened, but things like this, like power outages, are huge. 16 inches of snow on May 21st. So it's really heavy snow as well because it's that spring snow. And that's just an example of here. Like if we were not able to go with the flow and just exist within whatever is going on in our lives, I am so ruled by Mercury that I would lose my shit on a daily basis if if I could not flow through the chaos. And that's really what it is, because time is going to be a huge illusion. It's going to be speeding up once Mercury goes direct, especially. But before that happens, you're going to want to speed up before it starts speeding up. And we also, and we're not even done yet. So on the 25th and 26th, 24th, 25th, 26th, we have the moon and Mars. Mars will be leaping from Pisces into Aries, because I know that he's ready to get there, or they're ready to get into. I have a hard time with pronouns when it comes to planets, because like I want to use them, they, their, but I know the mythology behind it, and so I always use the masculine or feminine pronouns of the planet. So bear with me as I get through that. I just want to be I want to be inclusive of everybody and not just make it a him or her thing. So as I switch my brain mechanisms, bear with me. But so going from the 24th to the 26th, we have Mars moving into Pisces. Mars will be in Aries until July. So 6 weeks of Mars being in Aries, or 7 weeks almost, I think. And he is at home in Aries. He feels really, really good in Aries, almost too good sometimes. And we have a war going on, and we also have Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus in Aries right now. Just an hour before Mars moves into Aries, the moon will also move into Aries. Will ingress Aries. And a moon in Aries is going to be massively, if you've never been around a moon in Aries that has lost their temper, you're probably a pretty lucky person. Moon in Aries who lose their tempers, they don't really do it in a fair kind of way. It's very much a me kind of approach. And fire signs in general have these really, really big tempers, and it's very difficult sometimes to. I feel like fire signs are more emotional than water signs, but both have a very hard time controlling their emotion. So throughout a fire sign moon's life or water sign moon's life, they're constantly having to remind themselves of their own emotional maturity or lack thereof so that they can grow and evolve. So on the 24th, 25th, 26th, we will have Mars, we will have the moon, Mars, Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus. I'm thinking of the chart in my mind, all in Aries. And that's going to be a 3-day event with the moon there. But then even when the moon moves into Taurus on Friday, there's still very much, Friday this week on the 26th, by the way, we're only just 1 week in. Yes, everything will kind of relax a little bit because the Taurus moon is a lot softer of an energy than the Aries moon is, but Taurus still has horns. So if you want to be left alone and people aren't leaving you alone, or you're putting yourself in situations where maybe you should be left alone, but you're not really being kind to yourself either, that Taurus moon can be just as aggressive and just as mean. So really, this whole first week of Gemini season is about grounding yourself and recognizing that time is the illusion, and recognizing that trying to force anything to happen under the cosmic conditions that we have right now. The reason why the cosmos force us to pause is because we as humans sometimes just want to jump, right, without even thinking, or we do things without giving ourselves the opportunities to think about it twice, right? And so sometimes the universe gives us these gifts of paused moments, and it's been happening a lot where it's like this roller coaster, this like, and then like really, really fast, and then really, really fast. So this Mercury retrograde specifically, and I've been saying this, I'm trying to remind everybody every single day that there's a lot of patience behind what's happening through this Mercury retrograde, and this week is going to be adding fire to the air, right? And this is where you can burn shit down. When we have the sun in an air sign and we have all of this energy in fire signs, and there's like nothing, we just came out of the earth. And so the earth was there to to be fully destroyed, and all we had to do is bring a little bit of air in, and the entire neighborhood is gone. So, and there were tornadoes in Michigan last night, massive tornadoes in Michigan, horrible tornadoes in Michigan that destroyed in a big city too. I don't remember the city, but my prayers go out to everybody there as well. Just the weather right now, Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus is getting much closer to the North Node. We're only about 7 degrees away from the North Node and Uranus meeting. That's only going to happen in a few months, and the weather is going to get a little crazier. But the outside world, the world that wants to bring in the fear, is going to bring another way to make us fear that, right? That we're, the earth is dying and all of that. And I feel more love from the earth today than I have my entire existence. So I know that things are shifting, and I know that even the earth is like mother, Gaia. She's even shifting with all of these energies, and that's why we have all of this crazy, it's a reset. There's such a massive reset button that's going on in our lives, and Pluto is always there to remind us that with this massive reset button, destruction comes first. After the rain and the next day, and the sun comes out the next day, you can just smell how clean everything is, right? And it's not always going to be that pretty, just having a rainstorm. So there's something very big this first week of Gemini season. I'm not really going to put my finger on it. I'm not one to look into mundane astrology or the things that are going on in the world, and that's why I love that we have some astrologers doing that, because I want to be able to provide that for you guys. But what I will say is there's something pretty big that's happening that's really pushing us all along forward on our journey. We just have to be willing to look at it that way and not look at it as something that's going to be holding us back in big ways. Mars joins Jupiter in Aries Mars joins Jupiter in Aries the same day that Mercury retrograde will trine Pluto. Just like I said, that Pluto is retrograde as well. So Mercury retrograde trine Pluto retrograde, that's happening on the 28th of May. There is that, that's the kind of point of no return. That's the shift, that's the change. And that's where time stands still, and feels very much like Hanged Man energy. It feels very much like Mercury retrograde trine Pluto retrograde they're working together. Mercury is the only god that is able to go to the heavens and to the underworld and to the earth. He's the only one that is allowed passageway through all three because he's the messenger. And he proved himself worthy to Hades. He proved himself worthy to Zeus. He proved himself worthy to Gaia, right? To Mother Earth. He's proved himself. And so even in retrograde, with both of them being at their strongest powers, the structure changes that are happening are massive. And the more we complain about it, instead of going through the flow, the more suffering we're going to be caused, the more suffering we're going to go through. The definition of suffering is removing yourself, is constantly living in expectation, is constantly removing yourself from the flow of life. And in so many words, we could go through the Webster's dictionary if you would like, but suffering is something caused by pain. And sometimes suffering is unnecessary. Sometimes we create more suffering in our lives that are unnecessary by saying, the past did this to me, and the past did this to me, and that's how we're going to identify ourselves. And Mercury retrograde, trine Pluto retrograde wants that change, the mindset to change. And whether that means that we have to dig so deep into our shadows to be able to find that, if Mercury can do that and dig deep into his shadows and find it, possible for us to do it too and still come out unscathed, unharmed. So the beginning of Gemini season is a trial by fire. Do not put yourself into a different trial by fire just for the fucks of it, just for the sake of it. Don't do. Seriously, this is not a time to force things to happen. Not a time to make relationships work if they don't already work. Not a time to force things to happen if they're not already working. Do you see? And it's also a time to be very honest with yourself on whether it's working or not. Is it really working? Or are you telling yourself that it's working and giving yourself all these reasons and excuses? We end May with a new moon in Gemini, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Monday, May 30th. That will be Labor Day weekend, Memorial Weekend. Memorial Weekend. I always get the two mixed up. In the United States. And it's going to be a breath of fresh air, this new moon. Mars will be conjunct Jupiter. We're really going to be wanting to jump forward in the plans that we have for our future and wanting to take every single opportunity to do what we can to start the projects, the things that we feel like we've been stagnant on. If you've already jumped yourself into some projects, you may be recognizing during this new moon in Gemini where you're going to be refreshing things. And people will be more playful and a little bit more witty during this time as well, just through Gemini season. But they also won't be watching what they say and watching their words. So just being, we always got to make sure we're looking at both sides of the equation. Also, there was something else I wanted to say about that new moon in Gemini. We'll keep going. So then we have June. June starts the second day of June. We actually have Mercury stationing direct in Taurus at 26 degrees. We will have a post-shadow period, a 3-week post-shadow period as well. And during that post-shadow period, we will be reviewing anything during the Mercury retrograde that we did not complete. If there was no completion to it, if we didn't learn the lesson, if we didn't get through the situation, if we weren't paying attention to something, it will be revealed again during that post-shadow period. So until I think it's June 27th is what I want to say, maybe 24th. It's like the third week in June. It's not the very last week. It's like the third week. So Mercury will go station direct. We'll be waking up on Monday to that. It's like 4 a.m. Eastern on June 3rd, I think. And then we have, so that's June 3rd. On the 4th of June, we have Saturn beginning retrograde. Saturn will be retrograde in Aquarius until October 22nd. He begins retrograde, say it again. They begin retrograde at 25 degrees. And Saturn has been square the nodes for the entire time that it's really basically been the nodes have been in Taurus and Scorpio. Especially this year, quite a bit. And with Saturn square the nodes, especially Saturn in Aquarius, we are, Saturn in Aquarius is about doing the work for the community. Like, this is not just about us. Saturn in Aquarius is not just about us. It's not just about the lessons that we have to learn. It's about the lessons that we've had to learn from our ancestors. And it's about the lessons that we have to presently learn and allow ourselves to evolve and grow through those lessons. It's about learning how to be relatable to the world at large instead of just focusing on our own stuff. And so we've had this Saturn square the nodes, and the nodes have all been completely about values and, tapping into our own values. How are we taking care of ourselves versus how have we allowed the world to take care of us all these years, or, the resources that we've used from the world. We're now recognizing that they are no longer of value to us, and we have to pivot and we have to change things. And these are the lessons that we're learning right now. A lot of people are moving away from processed foods to raw foods. And when I say raw foods, I don't mean foods that aren't cooked. Raw foods are like the foods that the indigenous people milk straight from the cow, cheese straight from the cow. Like they don't go through the processing, the factory processing, which all happened during the Industrial Revolution. And Pluto retrograde or Pluto return in the United States is changing so many of that Industrial Revolution, revolutionary things, as is Uranus in Taurus. So we've also very much had Saturn squaring that Uranus too this whole time. So Saturn will retrograde back to 18 degrees. During that time, he will square the nodes. He will square Uranus, and then go direct again on October 22nd. We will have Mercury trine Pluto on the 10th again. Mercury will be direct at this point, still in post-shadow period. But that Mercury retrograde, trine Pluto retrograde that is happening at the very end of May, which is like the 28th of May, on the 10th of June, you'll be able to kind of relook at the end of May and kind of see what themes were showing up and how well you did at, processing those things and being patient and allowing yourself to go through the flow. The middle of June we have the full moon in Sagittarius. Mercury moves into Gemini on the 13th. We have the full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th at 23 degrees. And then we have Mars conjunct Chiron and the Sun square Neptune on the 15th and 16th. We actually have the Sun square Neptune, Sun trine Saturn retrograde, Venus conjunct North Node, and the Capricorn moon conjunct Pluto on the 16th. I'm going to put all of those down in the description box. So I'll put all of the Gemini transits down there for you so you can see. Hopefully I don't miss any. I might. I can't find my May paper. Like I'll have to go through the transits again for May. But this full moon in Sagittarius is really asking us, especially because Jupiter is in Aries. And Jupiter in Aries it will be trine the Sagittarius moon before it becomes completely full. And really asking us to stand up for ourselves, really asking us to be our own advocates, really asking us to believe and have faith in who we truly are. I'm a Sagittarius moon, and I'm a Virgo sun, and I have a lot of placements in my chart that can really make me a cynical pessimist. 12th house placements, 8th house placements, Mars in Cancer. Like I was the most passive aggressive, cynical person that I knew, but there was always a small part of me that had this optimism. And I was born right after a solar eclipse, I was the first quarter moon after a solar eclipse in Virgo. So this optimism never goes away. No matter how bad things get, I can always find it, which is hilarious because all of my other pessimistic placements really, really tried to make me a miserable person like my whole life. And then when I realized that this, I have Jupiter in Leo and I have optimistic Sagittarius moon, I was able to tap into those a little bit more. And that's sort of what this full moon in Sagittarius is going to do for you. It may not be super duper optimistic because there are things that you're going to have to look at and be like, if I'm really putting all this faith into myself, why am I still holding on to this? Or why am I holding on to things that are only pulling me down as I create more faith and more optimism and more push for myself, right? And the Sagittarius moon is not something you can pin down. And so allowing the freedom, right? Allowing yourself to be free of restrictions, allowing yourself to know that you are the advocate and warrior of your own life. Gemini season is not just about making things fucking crazy. It's also about us seeing the truth of who we can be. Because the world likes to tell us who we should, quote unquote, should be, right? And through all of these shifts and through all of these changes, we see that we are not taken care of by the people that say that we are taken care of by, right? And so finding new communities. Saturn in Aquarius has brought me so many more different people in our lives, but we have to be open to being in communities that are right for us. Not every community that comes along is going to be right for us. And that's the Aquarius way. That's why Aquarius seems so aloof. They're so much fun, and they're like, they can do just about anything. Like, they just are insane when it comes to all the energy that they have. But at the same time, they're not just going to be friends with anybody, with just anybody. And even in that same sentence too, even if they're not friends with everybody, they're not going to wish harm on everybody. That's not the community way. So it's not about competition. And this world has been all about competition. And this Sagittarius moon, standing up for yourself and being your own advocate and being the warriors that we are, is not about competition with other people. In fact, it's not even competition with yourself. How can you even compete with yourself from years ago? There's not even a level to that, right? You didn't even know who you were going to be today. So why even compete with yourself? Why compete with somebody who had the same idea that you had months ago, but you didn't get the opportunity to act on it, and now maybe you want to act on it now, but this other person has already done it? No competition, you guys. There's no such thing as competition. There's a thing as integrity, and the Sagittarius moon will show that to you as well, but there's no such thing as competition. This Sagittarius moon is happening just days before the sun will ingress Cancer. So a lot of believing in ourselves is in store for Gemini season. And I think that we've really been set up for it in so many ways, and to fight for ourselves. I don't know if you guys remember, just like a couple, and you probably, I don't know if you guys remember, that's, of course, everybody remembers what happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago when Mars was in Pisces is when the George Floyd protests began, and the rising up of civil rights, and the, we had to use our voices again. And it started when Mars was in Pisces, and then Mars ingressed Aries. And so we're starting a whole new 2-year cycle with Mars in Aries. When Mars was in Aries last time, Mars was in retrograde in Aries and was there for, I believe, 8 months, 6 months, 8 months. I don't remember exactly. It was a long time. This time Mars will be retrograde in Gemini this year. So in a couple of months, we will have an 8-month retrograde with Mars in Gemini. So Mars ingress to Aries this time. I want you to recall what happened 2 years ago, the last time Mars was in Aries. And I want you to recall how much we had to speak up for ourselves. And I want you to recall how much we had to stand up for what was right. And now, it's absolutely the rights of our own bodies, for us to have the right over our own bodies, not just treating us inhumanely, which is exactly happening now, but now it's happening to women with the Roe versus Wade. I hope that one of the new astrologers is going to talk about this as well. But if they don't, just a little quick, this is happening for a reason. We're all seeing this happen for a reason, and people are very, very angry. And when people in the community become angry, it's very easy for you to also fall into that anger. But instead, if we were to recognize that the reason why this is happening is because we have to make other people aware of how the scales have tipped and how things are so out of balance that they need to be righted again. So Gemini season, even though it will feel lighter, there will not be less things happening. There will be a lot of things going on. I'm not going to try and predict the things that'll happen with the war. I'm not going to try and predict the things that'll happen with Roe versus Wade, but I will tell you that this time in our lives of us needing to stand up for ourselves and be our own advocates is not over, and it's not going to be over for a while. The other thing that is popping up is is coming back as the pandemic. And so anything that can be brought into a fear-based program in order for us to believe it, that they'll do it. Somebody will find a way to make everybody fear even more, because fear creates control. And that's just, like, that's not an opinion. It is not my opinion that fear creates control. That's a fact. Anyway. So, be careful, please. Be very extra careful of your actions until, even when Mercury goes direct, be careful of your actions, because Mercury will be in retrograde. Mercury will be in Gemini through June, and in July will ingress Taurus. So be careful, stay aware of your environment, and try not to get into accidents easily. I love you guys. I will see you for all of the June 2022 readings. Bye.